Hey guys, this is Jason, and I am back finally reviewing films that are coming out this year. This time I am reviewing the new Peacock film, Sick, and you're probably wondering, Jason, why are you reviewing this film now? Well, busy with some stuff in film school. I'll explain more in the end of this video. Sick is directed by John Hayms and is about two college girls who decide to go relax in a cabin in the woods, and this takes place a few weeks after lockdown happened from the COVID pandemic, and they've been trying to find some time to just relax and to be somewhere away from society and to get away from all the crazy stuff that happened. But as you would expect with a movie like this, a guy in a ski mask breaks into this cabin and tries to kill them. Sounds simple, I know, but the reason I was still curious about watching the film is because Kevin Williamson is one of the writers of the film, and if you don't know who Kevin Williams is, he wrote the first Scream film, the second one, and the fourth one, not the third one, or the most recent ones, and he also wrote The Faculty and I Know What You Did Last Summer. I've liked most of the Scream films, mostly just the ones that he wrote, and I enjoyed The Faculty, and there are some parts in I Know What You Did Last Summer that I did enjoy, so most of that should tell me that this movie should be fun. And was it fun? Well, most of it. It's still a fun and enjoyable watch. It's definitely got some pretty good scares that I thought were pretty well directed. Like, for one, there's a scene where a character is walking down the hall and she's looking at one of the other characters, and the camera just pans to that character sleeping, and then it just pans back to her, and then she just walks away, and then you see the killer right behind her getting ready to do something terrible. And that one really caught me off guard, and I thought that was pretty creepy. The acting is pretty strong. There was not one weak link in this film. Like, Gideon Adlon is pretty good as the main character of the film, Parker, and sometimes the acting can get a little over the top, but most of it was pretty good. The cinematography I also thought was one of the best parts of the film. Like, there are a lot of long takes and pans throughout the film of characters looking at something that might be wrong, like one of them is missing a phone probably in one room, or you hear a random song in the background and you have no idea how it turned on, even though most of us know that it was the killer that did it. Since most of this film does take place a few weeks after the COVID pandemic happened, it shows characters doing some stuff that they had to do throughout this film and what we had to do after COVID started, like having to wear masks in public so that you wouldn't get sick, or putting on hand sanitizer after you get back in your car, or going home and taking out some of the stuff you buy and just wiping it down so that you wouldn't get COVID in your house. It was the kind of thing that did get people scared and a little paranoid when that happened, and people can still get a little paranoid about it now. Like, even for me, I was pretty scared and paranoid after COVID happened. I had no idea how it worked, and not a lot of people did either. But since it's already been a couple of years since that happened, a lot of people have figured it out a little bit more, and we had vaccines now. But there were times where I was still a little paranoid about it, and I thought this movie captured that feeling pretty well. Now let's get to my issues of the film, and one of them is that the characters in the film aren't all that interesting. They can at times be a little unlikable. Not the kind where you hate them, but they say and do things that just don't make you like them, and they end up making the first act of the film drag, unfortunately, because once they first come to this cabin, they don't really do much other than just party at night and listening to music a lot and then just relaxing by a river. And some of the characters here do have a purpose in the film, but most of that is just there for filler. Like, for instance, there's a character there who is an ex-boyfriend of the main character of the film, Parker, who is trying to reconnect with her and try to restart their relationship after issues they had in the past, and it does progress the plot, sure, until it was brought to a halt around the second act, and it really doesn't do much later in the film after that. It just felt like it was just there as random drama. The main character of the film, Parker, isn't a terrible character. She's just not all that interesting. She's mostly just a girl that wants to think about relaxing and partying in this big and fancy cabin that she lives in the woods, and she tries to do all that with her best friend. And they're not terrible characters, but they're not good characters either. They're just not all that interesting. Now, without giving anything away, talk about the killer of this film, and he does have a reason for why he wants to kill Parker and Pamela. It is a good reason to get you to understand where he's coming from. But my problem with that is the execution, and it's hard for me to talk about this one without giving anything away, so all I'll say is this. The reason for him hating Parker and wanting to kill her just doesn't feel realistic or believable. It just feels like it's made up, and I get what they were going for because COVID does play a big role in the film, but for me, I would have liked his motive in the film that does still involve COVID, but also done in a more realistic and believable way. Sick is an okay thriller that has some good acting, really good cinematography, good direction. It's very claustrophobic and intense, like one scene in the third act, again without giving anything away, involving deer antlers that was pretty intense to see. But the characters just aren't all that great or likable. The first act is very slow, it has very pointless filler that just didn't need to be there, and the killer's motive just doesn't feel believable. If you're a fan of thrillers and you're curious on a take on a thriller that takes place during COVID, then you might enjoy this one. But if you're super cautious about COVID and you take it very seriously and you don't like the idea of this film basically poking fun at the first few weeks of people being scared about COVID, then you might not enjoy this one all that much. I'm gonna give Sick a C+. Yes, I know it's the same grade I gave The Pale Blue Eye, it's just I enjoyed this film a teensy tad more than that film, but it doesn't still save it from me saying that this movie was just So, the lack of videos recently, besides my review for The Pale Blue Eye and my top 15 favorite superheroes video, I've been busy with some stuff in school, like trying to throw away some stuff we don't need anymore, or just moving some of the stuff to the new location we just moved into. We moved out of our old place from the workshop and now moved into a new workshop for the film school, and I had to do a lot of stuff there, like again just taking out the trash, moving to some other stuff in boxes, and then moving them to the new location, and it's been a pretty hectic few weeks. But we are now slowly getting that done, and hopefully I'll review more films around that time. And I am still going to review the Last of Us series. I'm just waiting until that entire season happens, and then I'll review the whole season. So guys, if you have seen the movie Sick on Peacock, what did you think about it? Did you think it's a really good thriller, or did you think this is one of the worst thrillers you've ever seen? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this review, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.